Good morning. Welcome to the live stream. Uh, I am going to try to create a better quality video, of some of the highlights of this video. But we're going to be riding through, we're in the Otter Creek area right now, Cedar Key. This is one of the first areas that Idalia made landfall, and we're going to ride through and see what it looks like. Uh, Thanks for joining me. Let's get started. If you see any advertising from YouTube, feel free to skip it. Um, YouTube ad generated uh, income does not actually exist on this channel. So if you do want to support my Rideout or my future videos, always feel free to donate, or you can join my Patreon page. And the easiest way to find that is supporthank.com. Right now we are in the Otter Creek area. It's a small little town. This is a very low-lying area. See, the waters are filling the ditches on the side. Not sure how far the storm surge made it in, but definitely could have been at risk of flooding. Right now we're on State Route 24. It's a really long a straight stretch goes into Cedar Key. We try to do live stream all day. Got a couple different locations we're going to head to. We're going to head to Perry and Valdosta, Georgia area. Probably do all that today. See how the day progresses. See what we find. Shouldn't be any foul weather today. Should be a good day for checking the stuff out. So far, haven't seen anything. Just leaving a lot of broken limbs or anything off in the woods. Side of the Otter Creek area, heading towards Cedar Key, State Route 24 in Florida. Checking for post-storm damage from Idalia. Saturday morning. Local time is 8:41. We're heading to the Cedar Key area, checking out post damage from Hurricane Idalia that came through earlier this week. Not seeing a lot of signs of anything coming through here, except there's a lot of water off on the side of the roads. First tree down that I saw, left hand side. State Route 24 in Florida, heading towards Cedar Key, which is up towards the northwest area of Florida. Heading out to look at some of the post-storm damage from Hurricane Idalia. The Rosewood area. We're on our way to Cedar Key on State Route 24 in Florida. We're heading out to see the post-storm damage from Hurricane Idalia. Anything that we see. If you do get any commercial interruptions in the area, way to Cedar Key, State Route 24 in Florida. So we're 9 miles outside of Cedar Key right now. Do you get any commercial interruption or anything from YouTube, you can go ahead and cancel out of that or use ad blockers. YouTube has raised their premium rate none of the upgrades that they do as far as premiums or advertising really benefit any of the creators. So it's always best to support them directly. You can support me through Super Tips, or you could join my Patreon page. The easiest way to find me on Patreon is supporthank.com, and that'll bring you directly to my Patreon that has content from all of my channels. And you can always watch that ad free there, and you can always watch it very simply in one location. Right now, we are live heading towards Otter Creek. We just passed through the Rosewood area. It's State Route 24 in Florida. We'll be looking for any post-storm damage that may have occurred in the area or entering the Sumner area. And have to kind of follow the path of Idalia, see what we find. So far, we're south of the path of Idalia. We're not seeing a whole lot of damage down here. I'm starting to see a couple broken limbs off to the side. We did see a lot of water a few miles back on the side of the road. We're still heading towards Cedar Key. Be able to evaluate what the storm surge looked like. Still on State Route 24 in Florida. Still not seeing a whole lot of damage. I am seeing a lot of water standing on the side of the road. post-storm rideout following the path of Hurricane Idalia. Came through earlier this week. We're heading towards the Cedar Key area. Came through Otter Creek, Rosewood, and Sumner already. Last little distance to Cedar Key now. Getting ready to cross over the first bridge into Cedar Key. It definitely looks like the road was covered here. There's a lot of debris. This is the first real sign of storm damage that we're seeing. Is off to the shoulders of the road. You can see debris that had washed up when the road flooded over. This was one of the biggest concerns, I think, for people staying in this area is that once this flooded over, there's no way out. So they would have been here for the duration. We are crossing over the first bridge. There's people out there fishing, getting back to normal. Still not seeing any real damage yet, but we were getting into the area where storm surge would have been. You can definitely tell that the water did rise here. This was probably all underwater. They still have the signs up where there was a mandatory evacuation. Which that means you have to leave. If you don't leave, uh, they're not going to come in and rescue you. Bridge looked like it had a little bit of damage. Quite a bit of significant damage here. A lot of trees down. This area had all flooded out, it looks like. A little mobile home community. Looks like all of this is flooded out. There's a lot of debris we're coming up on now. We're in the main stretch coming into Cedar Key. Uh, there's a lot of people that are walking around here. It's like there's people fishing. There was a car that was actually washed into the water back here. We might come back and take another look at that on the way out. But this is a very busy little area right now. People moving around. Get in the way of that. You can see we're starting to get into areas of fairly significant damage. All of this was underwater. You can tell the sand on the road. Uh, this was all flooded out. And significant flooding up here. Off to the right, you can see how close the water is to the road. So far, we haven't seen any significant structural damage, just a lot of damage to the contents. Imagine there was a lot of flooding out. The overhang for the gas pumps had come down at that gas station, and I have some before and after pictures of that. Uh, I was up here earlier this week as the storm was getting ready to come in. I saw Brett Adair and a couple other of the storm chasers in the area. We're up here just prior to the storm making landfall. I can tell here this is definitely all flooded out. This was not like this earlier this week. You can see a lot of mud and debris in the street. So that's a clear indicator that there was excessive flooding through this area. I see a lot of debris on the streets um, where people are clearing out the buildings that have flooded. We are in Cedar Key now, and we are following up on the storm surge uh, from Hurricane Idalia. Came through earlier this week. See, the roof has come off of this garage, and this is right at the edge of the water. This is where a lot of the significant damage would have come through. You can see piles of debris out on the street where people's things have been flooded and washed out. It looks like they're using the boat ramp parking lot as a staging area to get rid of a lot of debris. People here are dumping into the middle of the parking lot, so there's probably going to be a city or a county cleanup. This is a area where I was at uh, the night that it came in. I'm pretty sure there was a roof on that building. Uh, I saw Gainesville 35, I believe it was doing a newscast there. So I'm putting the picture right here when I re-record this to compare before and after. Over here we've got looks like almost a whole house or some sort of deck or something that they're putting in there. So we'll ride back up this street and be able to get a view of this garage and the roof that got ripped off. Now, a lot of the damage is actually going to be on the interior of these houses. Drywall, flooring, things like that that have been flooded. Off to the right, you can see the roof that's gotten ripped off. Um, so just because you don't specifically see a lot of damage doesn't mean that there's not a lot of cost involved um, to repair these communities. Uh, but when we go through tornado areas, that's the devastation that you see is just visible everywhere. Houses are leveled, trees are knocked over, um, and they really don't have any notice on that. You know, a tornado pops up in just a few minutes. Hurricanes, we have a few weeks to usually get prepared. So people are able to kind of protect their property a little bit, and it's not the crazy winds that come through and just tear everything down. So it's not quite as apparent of what the damages are, but there are still significant damages with a hurricane. But tornadoes are definitely a lot more devastating to a lot of people. They have the power to just wipe out entire swaths of cities in just a few seconds. So we're in Cedar Key, and we're kind of at the north end of it right now. Got a lot of damage to this little